There's something the narcissist in your life will never be able to undo. Not the relationship, not the damage they caused, not even the version of you they tried to dismantle piece by piece until you barely recognized yourself in the mirror. No. What they can never undo is the breaking of something far more fundamental. Something that, once broken, leaves a mark on them that no new supply, no fresh start, no carefully constructed new identity can ever erase. Psychologists who work in trauma recovery, people like Dr. Gabor Mate, have long studied what happens to human beings when the people closest to them betray their trust at the deepest level. And what they've found is striking. The damage doesn't only flow in one direction. When someone breaks the invisible covenant at the center of a genuine connection, they lose something too, something they can't name, can't replace, and will spend years unconsciously chasing in every relationship that comes after. You were that covenant, and they broke it. Most people hear the phrase soul contract and immediately think of something mystical, candlelight, past lives, cosmic fate written in the stars before you were born. And maybe that framework resonates with you. Maybe it doesn't. Either way, you don't need to believe in anything spiritual to understand what this actually means, because at its core, a soul contract is simply this: the unspoken agreement two people make when they choose to be truly known by each other. It's the moment you stop performing and start being real. It's the conversation at 2 a.m. when the masks come off. It's the decision, conscious or not, to let someone see the parts of you that aren't polished or impressive. That's the contract. I'll show you who I really am, and you'll do the same, and we'll hold each other's realness with care. That's not a small thing. That's everything. He contract narcissists break isn't written anywhere, but you felt it the moment they first made you feel truly understood. Think back to the beginning. There was something almost electric about it. The way they seemed to see you, really see you. They remembered the small things. They asked the right questions. They reflected back a version of you that felt more seen than you'd ever felt in your life. And you opened up, maybe more than you'd ever opened up to anyone. What you didn't know then, what was almost impossible to know, is that they were studying you, not connecting with you, mapping you. Every vulnerability you shared became a data point. Every fear you admitted became a potential lever. Every dream you whispered became something they could use to keep you tethered, or something they could mock later when the warmth turned cold. That's the betrayal that goes beyond ordinary heartbreak. They didn't just leave. They took the sacred information of your inner world and they used it as a weapon. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, one of the foremost researchers on narcissistic personality, describes this as one of the most profound violations a person can experience. Not because it's physically violent, but because it corrupts the very act of intimacy itself. It makes you afraid to be known. It makes you second-guess your own instincts about who is safe. That confusion you've been carrying, it's not weakness. It's a completely rational response to having your trust inverted against you. Here's what no one tells you about what happens inside a narcissist when they destroy someone who genuinely saw them. When they discard you, demean you, or simply drain you dry and walk away. They don't feel victorious the way you might imagine. They feel something closer to dread. Because you weren't just a source of admiration to them. You were the one person who had seen behind the performance. You knew the fear underneath the arrogance. You'd witnessed the moments when the mask slipped, and they couldn't control what you now knew. The narcissist has to live with that, forever. Carl Jung wrote about the shadow, the parts of ourselves we bury and deny, the aspects we're too ashamed or too afraid to acknowledge. For the narcissist, their shadow is enormous, because the entire architecture of who they present to the world is built on top of a core belief that their real self is fundamentally unlovable. You, in your empathy and your patience and your genuine care, got close enough to touch that shadow. And instead of being healed by that proximity, which is what could have happened if they'd been willing, they panicked. They destroyed the witness. But here's the thing about destroying a witness. It doesn't erase what they saw. What you gave them, the patience, the empathy, the willingness to stay when everything in you screamed to leave, that wasn't weakness. I need you to hear that clearly, because one of the cruelest legacies of this kind of relationship is that it trains you to reinterpret your own goodness as naivety, to see your capacity for love as a character flaw. It wasn't. It isn't. Trauma experts consistently point out that empaths don't stay in these relationships because they're broken. They stay because they're wired for connection at a profound level, and they can sense, accurately, that there is a real person underneath the narcissist's performance. A wounded, frightened, real person. The tragedy isn't that the empath was wrong about that. The tragedy is that the narcissist chose protection over healing every single time. And that choice, not your love, not your commitment, not your hope, is what destroyed the relationship. You were never the problem. You were the closest thing to a solution they ever encountered, and they couldn't tolerate it. The moment you stop being their mirror, something shifts. And it doesn't shift in your direction. When you pull back, when you gray rock, when you finally stop feeding the cycle, the narcissist doesn't suddenly find peace. They escalate, or they move on, frantically, to someone new. Because the thing you were providing them wasn't just admiration. It was the daily evidence that they existed, that they mattered, that they were real. Without it, the silence is deafening. And in that silence, the contract they broke echoes. So what does this mean for you right now, wherever you are in this process? It means you can stop looking for closure in them. They don't have it to give. Closure lives in the understanding that what happened was never a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of their incapacity. It means you can begin to reclaim the parts of yourself you went quiet to keep them comfortable, the opinions you swallowed, the boundaries you dissolved, the dreams you put away because they made the narcissist feel threatened. Those parts of you didn't leave. They've been waiting. Healing isn't about becoming someone who never trusts again. It's about becoming someone who trusts themselves first. Someone who recognizes the early warmth of genuine mirroring and the performance of false intimacy. Someone who knows that real connection doesn't require you to make yourself smaller to be loved. You weren't the one who was destroyed here. They broke the contract. They lost the one person who came closest to seeing them fully and choosing to stay anyway. That loss will follow them into every relationship that comes after you, a quiet haunting they'll never quite be able to name. You, on the other hand, are still here, still capable of real connection, still carrying the very thing they tried to take from you, the ability to love without armor, to hope without conditions, to see the good in people even when it costs you something. That's not a flaw. That's the most powerful thing about you. And it's yours to keep.